First at noon, a big conversation about safety in Hawaii's busiest visitor areas is happening now. Leaders from law enforcement, tourism, and emergency management are gathering in Honolulu for the Visitor Public Safety Conference. Casey Lund takes us there.
Aloha from Ala Moana Hotel. This is where that conference was hosted by the Hawaii Tourism Lodging Association, but many partners. And these conversations are very important, not just when you talk about keeping our visitors safe, but our residents as well. We were able to catch up with Honolulu Police Chief Roddy Vanek. I wanted to know how valuable discussions and opportunities like this conference are for keeping visitors safe in Hawaii.
The security in Waikiki is super important. Waikiki is an economic hub for Honolulu. So keeping people safe, both our residents and visitors, is very important to the Honolulu Police Department.
The chief said it's not only the responsibility of the city and county of Honolulu, the prosecutor's office, and all these different industry leaders.
It's not done just by ourselves. The Honolulu Police Department can only do so much. It's really working with the community, working with our security partners to make sure that we do that all together.
But the responsibility also lies with each of us. Former Mayor of Honolulu, Mufi Hanneman, led today's discussion and talked about some of the focus of this year's conference, specifically financial crimes that take advantage of visitors.
Especially with online scams of people being lured to Hawaii and said, hey, you got this vacation spot that doesn't exist, or when they go to the beaches, car thefts along the beaches and our ocean areas and the like. Not only affects visitors, but also residents. So we've pulled in the U.S. District Attorney's Office. First Assistant will be here today to talk about how we can also deal with it at the federal level.
You know, there's always constant discussion about how to bring tourism dollars here to Hawaii, but the reality is, as many of the folks here spoke to, that those folks aren't going to come here if they don't feel safe. Reporting at Ala Moana Hotel, I'm Casey Lund for Hawaii News Now.
Case. New at noon on the Big Island, a Pahoa couple has been charged with multiple sexual offenses against a juvenile. Police arrested 34-year-old Chanson Micah Kaikane Scudder and 37-year-old Cesare Canite for promoting child abuse and multiple counts of sex assault from incidents that were reported back in July. Bail for both was set at $250,000 each. Canite was arraigned and released on bail conditions, including electronic monitoring. Scudder will make his initial court appearance today. Anyone with information on the case is asked to call Big Island Police. Federal officials say an ICE agent killed a woman in Minneapolis today. Details are still coming out, but the incident quickly led to protests in the area. Nicole Skanga is there with the latest.
A 37-year-old woman was shot and killed in her car by an ICE officer Wednesday morning in Minneapolis, according to federal officials and eyewitnesses. ICE agents were in the neighborhood for an enforcement operation, and residents were honking horns and blowing whistles.
There was a red SUV parked right in front of our house.
Aiden and Grace Perzana say they saw the entire scene from their home and that several officers surrounded the SUV.
A third person in also camouflage fatigues came and started pulling on the driver's side door handle, at which point the vehicle backed up a few feet and started driving forward. The agent who was on the driver's side originally, who was not pulling on the handle but had been there prior to that, shot 2 or 3 times through the driver's side window. The car drove a 30-40 feet and crashed into another car in the telephone pole.
It was an act of domestic terrorism.
Speaking in Texas, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said agents were acting in self-defense after their vehicle was stuck in the snow.
They were attempting to push out their vehicle and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
The shooting quickly sparked protests and outrage. Just this week, the Trump administration launched its biggest crackdown on illegal immigration, sending about 2,000 agents into the Twin Cities. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry.
What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust.
He demanded ICE leave the city and urged residents to remain calm. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Here at home, a Maui doctor facing life in prison for allegedly trying to kill his wife is trying to get his case thrown out. A'ali Iduklo sifted through court documents and has an explanation from the defense team.
Nearly a year after Gerhard Koenig allegedly tried to push his wife off a cliff, his attorney says key evidence is flawed and prosecutors made serious errors.
He's doing his job. Defense counsel is doing exactly what he was retained to do.
While Gerhard Koenig remains in jail without bail, his defense lawyer Thomas Otake filed 2 motions on Monday to dismiss Koenig's attempted murder charge. The anesthesiologist is accused of trying to push his wife Ariel off the Pali Lookout Trail while the couple was vacationing on Oahu for her birthday last March. Koenig also allegedly bashed her head with a rock and tried to stick her with a syringe. Otake says leading to Koenig's grand jury indictment, the state withheld details from HPD's physician report. In those forms, Otake says 2 doctors concluded Ariel's injuries did not create a substantial risk of death.
The law does require the government to produce any exculpatory evidence to the grand jury because it's a matter of fairness.
Leading to the charge, Otake also says the state used inadmissible triple hearsay evidence to imply Koenig confessed to the attack. The alleged admission was referenced by a Honolulu detective that was testifying about a report from Maui police. In that report, Koenig's son allegedly told an MPD detective that Koenig FaceTimed him from the hike and confessed. But because Koenig's son was on the mainland and never testified in person,
And without him being on the stand to clearly testify to what, if anything, Dr. Koenig said, I think it misleads the grand jury.
It's an issue if the detective who comes to testify doesn't say exactly or pretty much exactly what the witness they're paraphrasing says.
if neither of the motion's claims hold on their own, Otake argues both combined would warrant a dismissal. Meanwhile, a second motion argues that prosecutors did not identify how Koenig specifically tried to kill his wife, either the push, syringe, or rock.
The second motion that they filed was really about due process and the language of the complaint really not being enough.
Ariel claims Koenig accused her of cheating and has since filed for divorce and obtained a restraining order. Her attorney declined comment. A hearing on the motions is set for next month. Aali Iduklo, Hawaii News Now.
Nearly a week after an illegal firework ripped through a Maui home on New Year's, the homeowners are traumatized and now pleading for the culprit to come forward. Chelsea Davis has the story.
The site of this home is still boarded up here on Pu'umakani Street in Kahului. The homeowner wants to remain anonymous out of fear of retaliation, but he's asking for the person who caused tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage to his home to take responsibility.
People have a kuleana to make right their mistakes and own up to them, but it's just really sad that we did absolutely nothing.
This homeowner asked not to be identified because he's worried about retribution from the suspect who lit a firework that exploded into his home. It blew the siding off the house, shattered windows, broke studs, and went through the drywall while he, his wife, and daughter were sleeping shortly after midnight on New Year's Day.
I already have PTSD, and that just put me over the edge.
So far, there have been no arrests, but photos and videos show people in the area lighting illegal aerials. The evidence has been turned over to police. MPD says they're still investigating.
I'm glad that nobody died this year, but I can tell you right now, if that family was standing on the porch during that, they would have died.
The head of the Hawaii Department of Law Enforcement Agencies said even if no one comes forward, they could implement a current law that gives government authority to abate nuisances affecting public safety.
A member of the community or law enforcement has probable cause or reasonable suspicion to believe that your home is in participation, and any further action could result in the seizure of your home for up to 12 months.
Lambert said he did not call for a 5-year ban on fireworks, but said it's an option.
That would be like the nuclear option, and it's not on the table right now. We saw enough improvement over New Year's Eve that we think that we can leave that off to the side.
Until then, this homeowner is urging anyone with information to do the right thing.
I wish if somebody was there, saw it, knows exactly where it came from, we really wish you guys would come forward and talk to the police about it.
Anyone who has any information about what happened is asked to call the Maui Police Department at 808-244-6425. Reporting in Kahului, I'm Chelsea Davis for Hawaii News Now.
All right, well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Let's take a live look outside at our tower cam. Absolutely gorgeous out there, especially after how rainy it was over the weekend and on Monday. It's really nice. Let's take a look at the current conditions. 81 degrees out there. Southeasterlies right around 13 miles per hour. Still somewhat breezy this afternoon, but winds are really going to pump the brakes as we're going into the next couple of days. Here's the next 3 days in our first alert weather forecast. Thursday and Friday, mostly sunny. Some Kauai showers on Friday as a weak front's going to be moving in, and mostly sunny as we're going into Saturday, right around 82 degrees for highs over the next couple of days. Our first alert radar and satellite, really nice out there. Really not seeing a ton of rainfall. If anything, showers are staying offshore. I'll give you a full breakdown of the rest of our first alert weather forecast coming right up.
In one of the biggest mergers in Hawaii history, insurance giant HMSA and Hawaii Pacific Health, which owns several major hospitals, have agreed to join forces. The plan has shaken the healthcare world, and its leaders are trying to reassure the medical community. Daryl Huff has the details.
It's a plan that would directly impact hundreds of thousands of residents and Hawaii's entire medical community. But some experts say the merger is a tactic to keep the local companies in business and prevent a takeover by mainland medical corporations.
But every single health system is losing money right now.
At a recent Hawaii Medical Association forum, the CEO of Hawaii Pacific Health described a dire time for Hawaii's entire healthcare industry. HPH includes Palimomi, Kapiolani, Straub, and Wilcox hospitals and affiliated clinics. Vera says teaming up with HMSA, which experts say is also losing money, would create huge savings.
We will extract billions of dollars over the next decade that will create value that can be reinvested in the community.
Vera says the two companies would create an entity something like Kaiser, eliminating duplicate administrative costs and establishing a model of care so HPH doctors wouldn't need to get pre-authorization for care from HMSA.
Now imagine if you could extract that across all the patients that enter into our collective health system and extract that cost out of the system. Again, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars.
He says some of those savings could be used to invest with competitors like Queens to extend care to the neighbor islands. But Queens isn't ready to support the merger.
We have been one of the largest outwardly spoken opponents of the merger, just fundamentally. Right, that's fair.
Queens CEO Jason Chang said the merged HPH-HMSA system might attract more healthier and better insured patients, leaving Queens and other providers to deal with low-income, elderly, and chronically ill people.
What we don't want to happen is for Queens to become the exclusive safety net. You know, we can't survive that way. And so what we're asking for is to make sure that there's the ability to have a competitive playing field. That's the most important thing.
Vera said doctors would still be free to move between hospitals and patients choose doctors and specialists they want, and denied the organization would market to better insured patients.
There's no way that somehow these 760,000 lives that HMSA has are suddenly all going to matriculate to Hawaii Pacific Health. I don't know where I'd put them.
Doctors have similar concerns.
The priorities that are of concern would be patient access to health, physician workforce, the strain that exists.
But HMA President Dr. Nadine Tensal says doing nothing could be worse.
And in that either fall of our healthcare system, will we then have to contend with the bigger mainland players? And while one can view that as a rescue, it can also be our worst nightmare in the sense that we will lose autonomy over this island state and the way we often practice healthcare.
The merger still needs approval by multiple state and federal agencies who will study the impact on the healthcare system and on competition in the medical and insurance industries. Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
The U.S. seizes more oil tankers connected to Venezuela. I'm Erica Brown with more on the military action and President Trump's push for Greenland.
Also ahead on This Is Now, how clean is the tap water on airlines? We have the findings from a new study in 2 minutes. U.S. military seized 2 Venezuela-linked oil tankers in separate actions today. Now this as Trump officials briefed lawmakers on the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. Erica Brown has more from Capitol Hill.
New Pentagon video shows U.S. forces seizing another oil tanker in the Caribbean Wednesday. And in the North Atlantic, the U.S. also took control of an oil tanker formerly known as Bella. The White House says both were linked to Venezuela.
The oil blockade, the quarantine of oil out of unsanctioned or stateless vessels continues.
The Trump administration says the seizures give the U.S. leverage over the interim authorities in Venezuela following the capture of ousted leader Nicolas Maduro.
They understand that the only way they can move oil and generate revenue and not have economic collapse is if they cooperate and work with the United States.
President Trump announced Tuesday that Venezuela will be turning over between 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil to the U.S. to sell, with proceeds benefiting both Venezuela and the U.S. President Trump is planning to meet with U.S. oil executives this week to discuss investments in Venezuela, but some Democratic lawmakers have criticized those plans.
The oil companies are understandably very reluctant to undertake major investments when the risks are so high.
The administration is also doubling down on its push to control Greenland and has not ruled out using military force, but says President Trump prefers diplomacy.
That's something that's currently being actively discussed by the president and his national security team.
Greenland is a territory of Denmark, a NATO ally. The administration's rhetoric sparked a strong rebuke within the GOP.
I'm sick of stupid. I want good advice for this president, and this nonsense on what's going on with Greenland is a distraction.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he plans to speak with the leaders of both Greenland and Denmark next week. Erica Brown at CBS News, Capitol Hill.
A new study finds potential health concerns with the tap water on airlines. Chris Van Cleve has a closer look at the data.
This review focused on what amounts to tap water, the water stored in onboard tanks on board an airliner, not bottles of water. And this review looked at 3 years worth of government samples that were taken looking at contamination levels and other factors to come up with what they called a water safety score. Think of it as a bit of a report card. Now, according to the Center for Food as Medicine and Longevity, of the 10 major airlines tested, Delta scored the best with a 5 out of 5. That's an A rating. The bottom 2 carriers, JetBlue and American, both earned less than 2 points, a D rating. In a statement, JetBlue said it performs routine sampling and cleaning procedures to make sure its water is safe and reliable. American said a recent Environmental Protection Agency audit found, quote, no significant findings with our programs. We should note that all of the airlines we talked to said they meet or exceed EPA standards, and several questioned the methodology of this report. Still, for concerned flyers, the report recommends avoiding drinking the tap water, and that would also mean avoiding, if possible, hot coffee or tea served on board. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
And stick around. Coming up after the break, we've got your full first alert weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies and calm winds expected by Thursday. A weak front for the Garden Isle. The details all just ahead.
Alert Weather with Drew Davis.
All right, well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Here's a quick look at what we're tracking over the next couple of days. Mostly sunny skies and really light winds out there. Might allow a few pop-up showers in the afternoon. And a weak front that's going to be moving in on Kauai on Friday. Some moisture sticking around as we're going into Saturday. Let's just take a look at our first alert futurecast going forward, because we're expecting some more moisture out there, at least for the Garden Isle. Some pop-up showers still hanging around the Puna side of Hawaii Island this evening, but mostly dry for the rest of us. The showers, if anything, are going to be relatively light and passing. Then we're watching this very weak front that's going to be moving in Friday, mostly for Kauai, and sticks around throughout Saturday. But again, some of the weather models are backing off on how close this front is going to get. So it looks like nice weather expected throughout the rest of this week. Then as we're going into next week, we're watching the next front. Some long-range models are hinting at another front that's going to be moving in Monday into Tuesday. Not a complete washout, but should bring a better chance for showers out there. It's going to be passing showers in nature. So we're watching for another round of rainfall. Our rainfall accumulation map just going forward over the next couple of days. Not a ton of rainfall. You'll notice just passing showers, some showers hanging around the eastern and southeastern side of Hawaii Island. So again, it looks like windward Hawaii Island, windward Kauai has the best chance for rainfall going forward over the next couple of days. Our winds outside right now, still pretty variable. We're actually seeing southeasterly winds around 13 miles per hour in town. And going forward in our first alert windcast, I've been talking about how these winds are really going to pump the brakes. You can see going just into this afternoon and into Thursday, light winds out there. This is Thursday around 5 p.m. between 5 to 10 miles per hour out there. That's going to stick around throughout Friday and Saturday. Our surf and shoreline forecast as well. North and west facing shores are on the rise. We're tracking another northwest swell moving in. East facing shores pretty choppy out there, on the decline around 5 to 7 for your Wednesday afternoon. Here's your 7-day forecast. We'll have another look at this coming up in just a bit. Wednesday, pretty breezy and sunny. Thursday, a little bit of haze from the fog over in Halema'uma'u crater. Sticking around, looking to be pretty nice going forward.
Thank you, Drew. Still to come, an iconic 90s toy is making a comeback. We'll tell you why in today's Good News Now. a blast from the past. It was a must-have toy back in the 90s.
The Tamagotchi is making a comeback as the virtual pet turns 30. 100 million of these pocket-sized plastic eggs have been sold worldwide since their debut. An exhibit in Tokyo is showing off their evolution from those tiny black and white pixel screens to full-color displays with, get this, Wi-Fi. Some nostalgic parents say it's a perfect way to give their youngsters their first taste of tech.
With the few precious years we have left before we have to figure out how to do cell phones with them, Tamagotchi's kind of the training wheels version of something while they're still young.
Now, Tamagotchi fans admit it's a fun break from nonstop scrolling and a chance to unplug while still enjoying a little digital magic.
And believe it or not, I had one of these when I was little.
Surprise me.
They were still around in the early 2000s. I have very fond memories playing with my Tamagotchi. It was before I got my Nintendo DS. So
What an upgrade.
What an upgrade. Hey, here's one last look at our first alert weather forecast. Again, here's what we're tracking over the next couple of days. Mostly sunny skies, calm winds, and here's your 7-day forecast one more time. Lots of sunshine over the next couple of days. Light winds out there. Saturday and Sunday looking to be pretty nice. Another front going to be moving in Monday and a Tuesday.
Did you have the color screen?
No, it was black and white.
Oh, wow. Look at you, Drew.
Wow.
Old school.
I'm not as young as you might think I am, Ashley.
Thanks for watching, everybody. More news first at 4 right here on KChannel.